И така, здравейте! Добър вечер на всички! Благодаря, че сте с нас тази вечер. Използвахме времето, докато всички успеят да се включат, да пуснем видео, което да служи като малко тизърче за това какво ще говорим днес. Аз се казвам Петя Ламбова и съм част от екипа на Skylines, Агенция за образование в чужбина, официален представител на Istituto Europeo дизайн за България. Нашите услуги по време на целия кандидат-студентски процес са напълно безплатни, така че ако имате някакви въпроси относно програма, кандидатстване, срокове, стипендии или такси за обучение, ще се радвам да помогна на всеки един и да отговоря на въпросите ви. За да не губя много време, набързо искам само да ви помоля, ако имате въпроси по време на презентацията, да ги задавате в чат секцията. Ще се опитаме, възможно най-бързо, ако не, със сигурност на края на презентацията, да дадем отговор на абсолютно всеки един от вас. Днес част от нашата среща, презентация, са представителите на Istituto Europeo di Design Стефано и Марта, които ще ви разкажат в детайли за това какви са програмите, които може да следвате в Istituto Europeo di Design, както и как успешно да се подготвите за креативното представяне, което е неизменна част от кандидат-студентския процес. За да не губя повече време, оставям ви в техни ръце и се надявам презентацията да бъде интересна и полезна за вас. Стефано, it's your time now.
Thank you very much, Petya, and thank you everyone for joining this webinar. We're really happy to have you with us today. And today we want to give you an overview about our institution and also give you some more details about the admission process and the financial aid options you have to study with us. And we will then cover more in details the scholarship competition of this year to become an IED student. Before jumping into that, I think I will need to go back. Sorry, 1 second. Launching a poll. So I would like to ask you, you can see the question on the screen. When are you planning to start your studies? Just to have an idea if you are looking for studying option for next year, so you are already in the middle of the application process, or it's a more like a midterm plan. So yeah, most of you already answered. So okay, we have most of you guys interested in attending a course starting in next year, and some others later on. But I can assure you that the webinar will be helpful for both those who want to study next year and the years later. So going back to the presentation, for those of you who don't know us, I want to give a brief explanation of who we are. So as you can hear here by the name, IED, Istituto Europeo di Design, is an international network of design school, but with 100% Italian DNA. So we were born in Italy 60 years ago, in the 60s. So we have more than 50 years of experience in research and training in all areas of design, starting from fashion to visual arts to communication to art more in general. We are an international network. So we were born in Milan, but then we expanded. So now we are in 13 different cities in Italy, in all major cities, as you can see, and in Spain, in Madrid, Barcelona, and Bilbao. And we also have some campuses in Brazil, but only in Spain and in Italy. For the moment, we offer courses in English. The advantage of having so many campuses is that we can offer the best courses in the best possible location. So each IED location has been developing a network of companies, network of people, and contacts with institutions throughout the years. And if you join IED as a student, you can enjoy this network in all the cities where you can study. The teaching methodology is based on learning by doing for all courses we offer. And we can do that because all our professors are professionals. So all of them are professional designers. They work for the big brands or in their own studios. And so they come to school to share directly with you their own experience. So the project is at the base of our teaching methodology, and classes are small. So we have maximum 25 students per class. In this way, we kind of simulate what you will find in a real design studio in your real life. So there is a constant exchange with your colleagues and the teacher, and only through this interaction you can improve your skills. So learning by doing, but also learning with companies. So companies are the center of our teaching methodology, because from day one, you start working on real projects for real clients. Here we have an example for master students in interior design who some years ago collaborated with Amazon. So the project, they received the brief directly from Amazon. They had to renew their warehouse, and the winner team, they actually won the trip to the Seattle headquarters to present the final project directly to the executives. So this, as you can see, is only one example, but companies are part of the courses offer for career fairs, for special projects, for courses, thesis, and so on. And this is only an example of the many big brands we've been collaborating with. And as you can see, there are brands in many different areas, from IT, from consumer goods, to toys, to electronics, to motorcycles and vehicles, to fashion, of course. And that's why we offer courses in all these areas, starting from art and restoration, so the cultural heritage of the artistic heritage of our country, and also international. The fashion world, starting from fashion design to fashion stylist and fashion communication. The design area, which entails the entire area of designing objects and services. So from interior design to product design to transportation design, the area more related to communication and management. So always with a focus on design, of course, because we are a design school, but with courses more related on how to manage a design brand, how to communicate within a design brand, and then visual arts. So the area related to visual identity and visual communication. And in all these different areas, we offer these different courses, starting from undergraduate, after high school, master programs, summer courses, foundation programs, and so many others. So as of now, I will stop here because I want to ask you again one question. So regarding the type of course, which kind of course typology are you interested in? I know that maybe you don't have clear ideas yet, but of course, at the end of the presentation, you can also ask us some questions. Maybe you have some doubts about the difference about this courses typology, but it's only to understand who we are talking to. So yeah, most of you already answered. So we have a majority of students interested in undergraduate studies, and then a minority in postgraduate and summer courses. Fantastic. Thank you very much. So for now, I will stop here and I will pass the word to my colleague Marta, who is going to tell you more about the admission process to become an IED student, and I will see you back in a bit.
Thank you, Stefano. Thank you very much, of course, to Petja, the whole Skylines agency, and to you guys who are attending this webinar tonight. Probably some of you may have already met me, either last year during the webinar or last October at the Study in Italy Fair. So I really hope that some of you, let's say that, already got in contact with us on those occasions. So let me share my screen so that we can recover the presentation from something which is quite important, okay, for you as a prospective student, as we perfectly know from our experience. You have seen, you have understood that IED, as we also said, is quite a big network with many different campuses offering different typologies of courses in different fields. We teach both in English, in Italian and Spanish. So there might be a lot of variables. Indeed, there are a lot of variables to take into consideration when making your choice. You are interested in us, but you are not sure about which specific direction you want to take for your future studies and your future career. But we are here also to tell you not to worry, because of course, the whole, let's say, IED team, not just me and Stefano, are always happy to help our future students orientating themselves. But you guys in Bulgaria have the great advantage of taking the service, I mean, the advantage of having Skylines, which is, as Petya already said, our official partner in Bulgaria. And maybe, Petya, here, if you would like to recap once again the very, let's say, precious services that you offer to Bulgarian students that could be very helpful for them.
Sure, thank you, Марта. Здравейте отново от мен. Както споменах вече, аз съм част от екипа на Skylines на 13 години, като моята основна дейност е да помагам на бъдещите кандидат-студенти, ориентирали се в висше образование в креативна сфера. Когато влезете в контакт с нас, ще получите информация за това какви са възможностите като учебни програми пред вас, как става кандидат-студентския процес, какви са конкретните документи, които са необходими да подготвите. Също така може да разчитате на нашето съдействие при подготовката на мотивационното писмо и портфолиото, които са една неизменна част от кандидатстването и всъщност са с най-голяма тежест. Когато стигнем до успешен прием в програмата, всъщност не приключва нашата съвместна работа, продължаваме нататък, за да можем да подготвим и другите по-практични неща, свързани с вашето обучение и заминаване там. От гледна точка на настаняване, финансови документи, с които може да намалите таксата за обучение, за които Марта също ще спомене след мъничко, както и една от основните идеи е да ви запознаем един с друг, когато вече стане ясно колко хора всъщност започват обучението си в конкретната сфера или в град, за да може някак по-лесно да стане прехода от това да напуснете страната и да започнете обучение в напълно нова страна, напълно самостоятелни. Така че ще се радвам, ако някой има някакви въпроси, притеснения, колебания, аз съм насреща, за да ги изчистим. Марта? I am done with the services of Skylines briefly.
Perfect. And actually, I already moved to the next slide because I could hear, let's say, I could understand a few words. I hope I was not wrong. But yeah, because you already mentioned, I believe, the very important next topic, which is actually among the services provided by Skylines. Of course, they will, let's say, consult you and give you all the detailed information throughout the whole orientation phase and admission process regarding financial aid opportunities, which are, let's say, a very essential and very useful, of course, a tool to get a reduction of the tuition fee for your future studies. To sum up the main, let's say, typologies of financial aid that IED provides to international students, for both undergraduate and master programs offered in both Italy and Spain, every year we provide early bird promotions, which consist usually in a 15% or 10% reduction of the tuition fee, depending on specific deadlines, okay, within which you will have to submit your application and then to settle the tuition fee. And very important, our scholarship competitions. which help our students, the winning students, obtain a 50% or 100% in a few cases reduction of the tuition fees. And at the present moment, there is a scholarship competition going on for undergraduate courses for the next academic year, as many of you probably already know, but we are going to talk a little bit more in detail about this later on. And finally, it's also important to know that for Spain, for courses offered in Spain at both undergraduate and the master level, we give the possibility to pay the tuition fee in installments, okay? Providing you with a specific installment plan. Whereas in Italy, only for undergraduate, meaning bachelor courses, there is a great opportunity to obtain, let's say, to be allocated to a specific and different amount of tuition fee, depending on your family income, economic and financial situation, summed up in this financial document called ISEO declaration that you can see here. But again, Skylines, as our, let's say, official representative, and they have been working with us for many years. They are super well prepared about all of these financial and bureaucratic procedures, so they will give you all the details about that. Petya, I don't know if you want to add something also here, or if it's okay like that.
Well, I can add anything at the end if there are specific questions, with great pleasure. Yeah.
Super, super. Thank you so much. And now, guys, another very important aspect that I'm sure many of you also probably will ask us questions about in the Q&A later on, is about the admission process. So here is a summary of the general procedures of the admission process, which are basically common to all our programs, to the different typologies in the different campuses. So first of all, you will need to submit a series of application documents, and everything happens online, okay? So there will be a dedicated admission platform managed, let's say, for you by Skylines, but you will need to provide Skylines with your application documents, which are basically an admission form that will be downloadable from the platform, a copy of your passport or identity card, the secondary school certificate with the translation into English or Italian or Spanish, only if you have already graduated from high school. Otherwise, if you are still a 12th grade student and you want to apply for the next academic year, don't worry. I mean, of course, you don't have to wait until the final diploma, but you can apply already now, starting from now. You will need to submit, instead of the final diploma, the transcripts. Okay, so a certificate provided by your school and the transcripts related to the final year that you are currently attending. Then you will need to write a letter of motivation, introducing yourself, explaining a little bit about you, about your world, about your passion in the field of design, and specifically mentioning why you are applying for the specific course that you are applying for, whether fashion styling or interior design or whichever course. Why should we choose you as a candidate, and why, on the other hand, you chose IED as the perfect place for your future studies. And then, depending on the specific program you are applying for, you may be required to submit a few additional documents. Usually, for most of our programs, a portfolio is required. But in a few minutes, we're also going to give you some useful tips about the portfolio. So don't worry too much about this now. We will, of course, also need to test you, let's say, on the base of your language proficiency. And here it's important to notice that we are going to assess your level of knowledge of the language in which the program is taught. So if you want to study in English, if you want to study in a program which is completely taught in English, you will need to show a B2 level, at least, of English language proficiency. So don't worry about Italian or Spanish. You don't have to speak these languages necessarily. If you want to study in English, just the English level will be assessed. You can either present an official language certificate in case you have it. Otherwise, no worries. You don't need to sit an exam on purpose, but you can undergo our own language assessment test, which is carried out as an online interview with one of our language professors. And then you will need to attend another interview, which is, let's say, the main aspect of the whole admission process, which is the admission or the motivational interview. This is carried out again online, otherwise in person if you want to and have the chance to come visit us, with the course coordinator or in some occasions with one of our admission advisors. And here again, what will be, let's say, mainly assessed is not your previous experience in design or your previous, if you have technical skills or not, but mainly your motivations for joining the program that you have chosen, your interest, and also your expectations towards the course you're applying for, towards this whole world of design. And finally, only if you want to apply for an official undergraduate course in Spain, you will need to sit an additional admission test, which must be taken in person in our Spanish campuses, either in July or in September. But again, we are going to help you a lot on this occasion with concrete examples from the past years and with an online course to prepare yourself specifically for this admission test. But I remind you that this is just valid for official undergraduate courses in Spain. Okay, so if you have any further questions, of course, feel free to write them in the chat and we will answer them in the Q&A session. But now we would like to give you a few tips, as I said, about the portfolio, because you have seen that it's an important document for your application. And maybe Stefano would like to give us a few insights about this, let's say, this special document. Just a second.
Okay, here we are. Sorry guys for this back and forth, but for technical reasons, this is the most efficient way to do it. Okay, so we just covered all the steps of the admission process. And as you heard from Marta, portfolio is one of the key documents we require to apply to undergraduate courses. And so we thought it could be useful to spend a few minutes talking about the portfolio, especially because as we've seen, many of you are looking for an undergraduate study. So maybe this is the first time you are approaching a portfolio. So the first thing we want to tell you is relax, because the portfolio doesn't exist. And who tells you differently is wrong, because it really depends. The portfolio is like very briefly, we can say that the portfolio is your personal presentation, is a collection of your ideas, of your creative mindset, and it always changes, and it depends who you are sending your portfolio to. So just to give you an example, if you, like in some years, you will provide and you will send a portfolio to apply for a job in a big, for a big brand, it will be very different than if you apply to a small artistic studio. So maybe when you apply to an artistic studio, your portfolio will be more artistic, more disruptive. If you apply for a job in a big corporate, it will be more classic, I would say, more clean, more minimalist, but always it needs to speak about you. So as you can see, the portfolio is part of the admission process also for undergraduate courses, but we know that many of you don't have a background in design for like most courses. So what's in this portfolio? As we said, it is a collection of your ideas, and it is a product to to present you. So the first thing you need to do when you approach a portfolio is to stop, take a deep breath, and think. Think about yourself, about your main values and what are your main goals also in life, and why you are making this portfolio. So for sure, you have to do some research about the company, or in this case, the university or the institution you want to send your portfolio to. You need to reflect on your skills. So can you draw? Can you use some software? Can you do photographs? Or what are you good at? So think about your best skills, and think about also the main values and the main topics that are interesting for you. So you are very, I don't know, maybe you are more very related to your family traditions. Maybe you lived in many different countries, so you want to show those experiences in your portfolio. You are very keen in innovation, so you want to create a portfolio in which this passion about innovation will stand out. But always it needs to be unique and it needs to be personal because it is your presentation. So when you approach the portfolio, you can divide the process in two parts. The first part is very theoretical, I would say. There is a lot of research, and the second one is more practical. So as we said at the beginning, you stop and think on what are your goals and what you want to address your portfolio to, and what are the main issues you want to show. Then when you realize which are the main topics you want to show in your portfolio, you start writing down a list of keywords. They can be like randomly put in a piece of paper on your computer. Again, showing the main values and the main topics that are relevant for you. Then you do a selection of those keywords, which are the most important for you. And then you transform these keywords from words to image. So there is a visual transformation of these keywords to image representation. These images, well, the internet is full of inspiration, but you can also go to an exhibition. You can take some photos of an exhibition. You can go out and take pictures of nature, of something that inspires you. And then when you collect all these pictures, you put them together. So you can also put them on a table. And when you see them in front of you, it's always easier to understand which is the link between these concepts, between these images. And then you make a selection of those that are more relevant for you. And then you start creating your own portfolio. So you will need to define a layout. So in which order to put a brief description of your works and the why you made those selection and why you chose specific topics. A title, because as we said at the beginning, a portfolio is your personal presentation, is your personal story. And as any other story in the world, it needs a title. It's more coherent. And then you focus on technique. So you have the keywords, you have the topics, you have the images, then you also need to add your own skills. But again, think on what are your best skills. So if you're not good at drawing, for example, don't force yourself to put some sketches in your portfolio. It doesn't need to be like that. So put and work on the techniques which are more relevant for your work and which are you are good at. But always keep in mind that you have to be coherent with your personal story. So don't choose a topic which doesn't represent you. With the layout and the style of portfolio. So for example, if you choose a very minimalist technique and layout, maybe very vivid purple is not the right color for you. And coherent, it needs to be coherent with the goal. So always keep in mind who you are sending your portfolio to. So in summary, we said that the portfolio is your personal presentation. So it needs to express you, your story, your passions, and your goals. It needs to entail your world like your passion and your goals, with a focus on your skills. So show who will receive your portfolio, your best skills, and don't force yourself in working on those skills you are not good at. So who receives the portfolio needs to have a clear vision of who you are, why you are applying, for example, for a university or for a job. So when you will have more experience, you will also need to have to select some projects. So it's not putting together all the projects you realize to show that you made tons of projects. So you need to be very selective. So I suggest you like maximum 10, 12 pages in a portfolio, because people who receive portfolios receive hundreds of portfolios. So choose carefully what you want to include in the portfolio, and always be consistent. So every now and then you must do a consistency check with the goals, with your story, and with the institution or the company you are sending your portfolio to. So I will pass the word back to Marta. I hope this was helpful to give you a few tips on how to prepare a portfolio. And I think that some points will be useful also for the scholarship competition.
Indeed, and that's for this reason, guys, that I hope that you will listen to Stefano very carefully, because now we are going to give you, we're going to end this presentation with a recap, let's say, with some information about the ongoing scholarship competition. First of all, actually, before showing you our, let's say, talking about this final topic, I would like to ask you another question, because on 3rd November, a couple of weeks ago, IED organized a webinar entirely dedicated to the scholarship competition now going on. So we just would like to see how many of you attended this webinar. So just reply with yes or no, and we'll go ahead. Okay, so you are voting. Perfect. Some of you attended the presentation, some of you did not. It's not a problem if you didn't attend it, because you have, let's say, a second chance today to, to get to know, let's say, the main points. And of course, Skylines will be your lighthouse in this as well. So, as we said, there is now going on a scholarship competition for international students applied to our undergraduate and foundation courses offered both in Italy and Spain. So whether you would like to study in Italy or Spain next year at the undergraduate level, this is the perfect occasion for you. Mind the deadline, it's very important, because you will have time until the end of November, so you still have a couple of weeks to register online. Of course, ask Skylines for help, and submit all of these documents. So first of all, you can apply if you are, let's say, if your age is covered between 18 and 26 years old by the end of next year, 2023. So if you are a final grade student right now, you are 17, it's perfect, provided that you turn 18 by the end of next year and you obtain a high school diploma by September again of next year. And I repeat that the scholarships will be valid for the courses starting in academic year 2023. So these are the documents that you will need to submit, which basically are the same documents that we have already seen for the admission process in the application documents phase. But very, very important. In addition to these documents, you will need to submit, to develop and submit the project dedicated to the scholarship competition. So what will be mainly assessed and evaluated, especially in the first part of the selection, will be the project. Indeed, you will need to prepare a creative project based on a specific theme, which every year, let's say, is changed and is developed by the IED scholarship committee, so as to respond to some specific needs or some specific trends happening in society. So it's always very, let's say, topics that are very close to us in our everyday life. We're going to see the brief in a minute, but just know that in the realization of your creative project, as we said for the portfolio, the most important part, what will be mainly evaluated, is not the technical skills that you will show in the realization of your portfolio, okay, but these criteria that you can see here: your problem-solving skills, the relevance to the theme and the consistency in relation to the theme. So always have in mind the brief and develop your project in specific reply to the brief that we have given you in this contest. The originality of the idea. So be original, be creative, try to think outside the box, and also how you communicate your idea. And here comes very, let's say, handy and very useful what we said earlier about the portfolio. Be consistent also in the way you present your portfolio, layout, title, colors, and so on. And then after the evaluation of your project by the committee, if your project, let's say, passes these first phases by gaining a certain score, you will get to have an interview with the scholarship committee. And here we will assess, of course, you will discuss together your project, and you will be assessed on the basis of your motivations for joining the program you have chosen and for winning the scholarship, your personal interests, and your design aptitude. And then a final ranking will be made according to the, let's say, scores obtained by each candidate. And here is how we will determine the winners. But as we said, it's super important to respect the brief, which for this specific scholarship competition is designed for transition. So it may sound, let's say, complex, but try, as we also said with the portfolio, first of all, to stop, take a deep breath and think. And start from the brief itself, from the words it is composed of. So what is transition? Think about transition as it is. So search for other definitions on the internet, on a dictionary. So transition is a moment of change, of course, from one way of being to another, from one situation to another. And it can be applied to many different fields and areas. And you can think about them also in your everyday life. Think about the digital world. Now we are entering the era of the metaverse, which up to a few months ago didn't exist. So we are, let's say, slowly passing from a tangible real world to that of the metaverse. Or for fashion, we are, as many of you will do online shopping, okay, from e-commerce platforms or the websites of some brands, so online. So in fashion, there has been this huge transition process from offline sales in stores and shops to digital shopping. And we want our, let's say, the future of design with future designers, think about what role can a designer play in the process of transition. And here on the left, you find just a few keywords that could be of help for you to think about transition in, let's say, a broader way. And here is the specific brief. So what will you need to do practically? You will need to choose one of these scenarios, the real world, the virtual world, or the hybrid world. And then identify one or more of the themes according to the scenario that you have chosen. So if you choose, for example, the real world, you can decide to focus on just identity, or maybe on identity and society. I mean, you can pick one or more of these specific themes. Once you have identified them, you need to think of an already ongoing, okay, so something already happening, an already ongoing transition process, something that you identify as a big change, as a transition from one phase to another. It can be at the individual level, in society, in history, in fashion, as we just saw, in digital, in technology, and so on. And then finally, you need to present your own creative proposal, your own project, as we said, taking into consideration the course you are interested in. So you must also somehow, let's say, adapt your project according to the program you are applying for. And of course, keeping in mind what we just said. And your design, let's say your project, should be something that will help society or you as a designer to accompany, to go with the flow of this transition process or to overcome it. So we know that it can be challenging, but it's important for you to know that there is no right or wrong. I mean, our briefs are always conceived in a way so as to give our students really food for thought. So you can really, you start from here and you can really develop anything. Again, try to think outside the box, try to be original. And we are, I mean, looking forward to receiving by the end of November, remember the deadline, your projects. And now, of course, we are available for all the doubts and questions that you may have.
So, Marta, there were some questions which I would like to ask you to answer for everybody. So, students are asking when the language certificate can be submitted, if there is a deadline that you accepted by then, or it should be given together with the other application documents.
Perfect. So actually the language certificate, if the student has it, should be submitted together with the other application documents, because your whole, let's say, the whole admission package will be evaluated all together, and you can be admitted in the program you have chosen only if you can meet all the required, let's say, all the requirements set by IED. And among them is, of course, the level of English proficiency.
Thank you, Marta. There are questions regarding the portfolio. What kind of projects can be included in a portfolio? Is it only focused on the program that the student is applying for, or it could also include other projects in terms of painting, sculpture, and different other projects?
Yeah, thank you for this question, because it's very, I mean, very interesting and very useful to reply to. So it can definitely contain other projects. So, of course, on the one hand, it must be coherent with the course the student is applying for. And I mean, it must make clear to the person receiving the portfolio that this student has a real passion for that course, for that field. But at the same time, it's also always great when we see that the same student has other interests, has other passions. So paintings are great, drawings, collages, I mean, any kind of artsy, but also other sorts of hobbies and interests that the student may have. Maybe a student wants to apply for fashion design, but has also a passion for chess. And in the weekend, they love playing chess with their grandpa or with friends. Perfect. I mean, you can include in your portfolio even a picture of you playing chess and maybe adding a few words explaining to us about this hobby. So everything that regards the student and their passions, their interests are an additional value and are, I mean, welcomed to be in the portfolio.
Yeah, maybe we can also have another example. If you are very good in drawing cars, but you want to apply, like, I don't know, to the fashion design course, maybe it's not the best idea to include your car sketches in your portfolio. But if you can find a way to combine these two interests of yours, it's great, because that's the main goal of your portfolio. So yes, of course, it should be relevant to the course you are applying for, but you can use all techniques and to show all the interests you want.
Another question is from a student who has different from the Bulgarian secondary school diploma. If there are specific subjects that IED looks for a student who wants to study communication and has an A-level diploma.
Okay, so actually there are, let's say, no specific requirements in terms of exams at the A level or even at the IB level or any other kind of international diploma that requires some, let's say, additional and voluntary, let's say, chosen voluntarily subjects. Of course, if you can find a subject that is related to the field of communication in your case, or design or art, it can be of great help for the first year of your studies, because you will have already obtained an introduction and some knowledge about that field, but it's not, let's say, a compulsory requirement.
And there is a question about the places for each program. You said no more than 25. So would you suggest to apply as soon as possible to secure a place?
Actually, yes. So let's say that if the scholarship competition, as we said, has a specific deadline, for the standard applications, let's say, there isn't a specific deadline, but actually the sooner you apply, the better. Because as we said, the courses have a limited number of places, and we evaluate each application one by one as soon as we receive them. There have been cases over the past years when in June or July the classes were already full. So maybe in August a great applicant could have made their application, but it would be too late because the class was already filled up. So definitely timing is also, it's very important. So we always suggest, let's say, not waiting until the spring for undergraduate courses, let's say.
Thank you, Marta. Again, a question regarding the certificate for English level. Would you accept a certificate from 2021 for application and start of the program in 2023?
Yes, another interesting question, because actually the language certificate is considered valid if it was taken within, let's say, 2 years before the application. So if you apply now, today, we consider a certificate valid if it was taken, let's say, even in, let's say, 16 November of 2020. So 2 years from, I mean, the moment of application is the time of validity of your certificate. So 2021 is perfect.
Thank you very much. And you said that if we want to take part in the scholarship competition, we have to provide all the rest of the documents. So is there a chance that if a student is not eligible for the scholarship, I mean, that there are better projects than his, would he still have a chance to get admitted to the program?
Definitely. So for students applying for the scholarship competition, but as you said, who are not, let's say, who don't win the scholarship in the end, the application for the scholarship will still be valid, let's say, as a standard application. So we will still evaluate the other documents provided by the students, letter of motivation, portfolio, language skills, and also the student will be called to have a motivational interview, so that if the whole, let's say, documents and the interviews go well, the student, even if they haven't won the scholarship, they can be admitted in the program.
Thank you so much, Marta. Is there any specific requirement for the portfolio and for the project for the scholarship in terms of type of file? Would you suggest a PowerPoint presentation, PDF, video, or something else?
Perfect. So for technical reasons, we suggest submitting a PDF file, which must not weigh more than 8 megabytes. So keep in mind that this is basically the only technical constraint, because otherwise the platform doesn't support, let's say, bigger files. It should be a PDF, but inside of it, it's very important, the students can literally include any kind of artistic means. Some written text, of course, should be there. They can include images, so digital images. They can include even a video. The video should be included as a link, okay? So the video should be somehow already have been published either on YouTube or Vimeo, and you can add the link in the file. If a student has their own personal website because they have developed it, perfect. They can add also this link. They could even add a link to their Instagram page if they have developed something meaningful and it's present on Instagram. So again, any sort of, let's say, art and creative means is definitely acceptable in the portfolio, in the scholarship project, of course.
For an IELTS language certificate, what is the minimum grade required?
IELTS, sorry?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. So the level required, the minimum one is B2, okay? So for the IELTS, if I'm not wrong, it should correspond to 5.5 at least.
You said that not all of the programs require the portfolio. Can you share with us which are the programs that don't require a portfolio, but maybe an essay or other type of document?
Perfect, sure. So actually the official undergraduate courses offered in Spain, which last 4 years and which entail the admission test that we talked earlier, do not require a compulsory portfolio. So for these programs, the portfolio is of course advisable. I mean, it could be an additional application document, but it's not compulsory. Students will have also already to prepare themselves for the admission test. So let's say that we don't want to stress them too much with a compulsory portfolio. On the other hand, in Spain, specifically in Barcelona, we also offer a few courses which are validated by the University of Westminster. The official title of these programs is BAH, Bachelor with Honors. These are the courses in fashion marketing and communication, business design, and fashion design. So for 2 of these programs, fashion marketing and communication and business design, the creative portfolio is not required, but as Petja already said, we do require an essay. So the essay should revolve mainly around problem solving, but again, if you talk with the Skylines, we will give you more details and more tips about the essay.
So that is a very nice question, which I'm sure would be of interest of most of the students. Is the project that you apply for the chosen program the same as the one with which you apply for the scholarship competition? Question number one. And question number two is, what would be the fees if you win and if you don't win the scholarship?
Okay, perfect. So actually the portfolio, let's say that the personal portfolio and the scholarship project should be two separate and distinct projects. Mainly because the scholarship competition project has its own specific brief, and it is fundamental that you develop a concept of a project specifically addressing that brief. On the other hand, the portfolio or project assignment, because there is this alternative for undergraduate courses in Italy, the project assignment basically has the same value of a portfolio, but it's not, let's say, such a free representation of you, but we give you a few hints. We give you 4 different topics among which to choose. And depending on the one that you choose, you develop a creative project. But still, it must be kept separate from the scholarship project. And to reply to the other question, as we said, the scholarship will cover 50% of the tuition fee. For programs offered in Spain, there are also a few scholarships covering the 100% of the tuition fee, but check these carefully on the brief. And so if you win the scholarship, you will obtain this very big reduction, which will be valid for the first year of studies. It's very important. But if you maintain a good average of grades, so if you keep being a good student at IED, you will also maintain the scholarship for the subsequent years. And keep in mind that the tuition fee reduction that we talked about for courses in Italy, depending on the family income and financial documents, is applicable also in case you win the scholarship. So the two kinds of financial aid can be, let's say, summed up with each other.
Marta, can you tell us what is the range of annual fees depending on the family income, the minimum and the maximum? And there is an application fee that students should pay.
Perfect. So actually, no, as regards the application fee, there is no application fee at all. So the student will undergo the whole process for free. And the very first amount that the student will need to pay will be the enrollment fee, which is usually around 2,500 euros, plus a regional tax of 140 euros for Italy. But this is to secure your spot. So once you have been accepted and once you really want to enroll in the program, then the tuition fee, to give you an idea, the first bracket, so the first amount is around 6,500 euros approximately, whereas the highest one is around 14,000.
Thank you very much. And is there accommodation that you provide for students? Do you have dormitories? Do you help students finding accommodation?
So at the moment, there hasn't been any dorms in our campuses, but it's good for future students to know that in a few years, actually in Milano, and hopefully also in other cities, we are going to build a huge campus with accommodation on site. So when this will be ready, this will be an additional option for our students. Up to now, the most common accommodation solutions for international students have been that of sharing an apartment with other students, or finding an accommodation in another residence, not managed by IED, but in all the cities where we are located, there are residences for students. So for both kinds of solutions, shared flat or residence, we do have agreements with lots of providers and residences that will help you finding your, let's say, the perfect solution according to your needs. So we will definitely help you by providing you all the information and the contacts that we have, and putting you in direct contact with the accommodation providers. And there are, of course, lots of discounts for our future students with these providers.
How much time after the official enrollment, the enrollment fee is payable? Is there a deadline that the students should follow in order to secure their places and to pay the enrollment fee?
Actually, again, not a specific deadline, provided that the student wants to secure one of the early bird options, because the early bird promotions have specific deadlines to respect. But let's say that after being admitted in the program, usually students take up to a few weeks to make a decision. If more time will pass, it may happen that the application will be considered as closed. But yeah, in general terms, try to undergo the admission process as soon as you are convinced, and again, secure your spot as soon as you can, so that you can, become officially an IED student and start your journey with us.
Thank you, Marta. Is there an additional discount for those students who participated in the scholarship competition but didn't win it, but they had a very nice project which can be considered for a second prize or something like that?
There may be. So actually, this will, let's say, this is evaluated every year on a case-to-case basis. So there may be the chance, yes, indeed.
Thank you. And are the scholarships only for a semester or for one whole year? Because there is a question about the type of scholarship that a student can win.
Yeah, as we said, they are valid for the whole year. So they will cover the, let's say, that will be applied to the tuition fees of the first year of study. But they will also be renovated for the subsequent years if you maintain a specific average of grades.
There are only one winner. Sorry, Stefano. Sorry.
No, sorry. I just wanted to add that right now we just launched the scholarship competition for undergraduate courses. But those of you who are interested in attending a master or another course, they can keep checking our website, because from time to time we also launch scholarship competition for other typologies of courses. So right now we are in the middle of the undergraduate scholarship competition, so we are focusing on that. But in some other periods of time, we also have scholarships for other courses.
Thank you. How many winners are there in the scholarship competition? Is it only one per course or per country?
So actually, every year the number of winners and of available scholarships may change. This year it's going to be 44 scholarships in total. And we have, let's say, we don't have 44 courses. So there may be more, let's say, more than one winner per course.
Great. Can we sum up what are the documents to apply together with the scholarship opportunity?
Sure. So it's going to be a copy of the student's passport or ID card if you are a European citizen. The admission form, which is basically, you don't have to do nothing about it. It's going to be downloaded from the platform. the high school transcripts and certificate of, let's say, attendance of the last year of school, sorry, or the final diploma if the student has already graduated. The certificate of the English language proficiency, if the student has already one of such certificates. Otherwise, just tell us, I don't have a certificate, we are going to schedule for you the language test. Then the letter of motivation, very important. And if you're applying for the scholarship competition, please mention that and add an explanation. I mean, add your motivations for joining this competition and why you would like to win it and why you think that you should win it. Then your personal portfolio or project assignment if you're applying for Italy. And last but not least, the project for the scholarship competition, which again should be presented as a PDF file, no more of 8 megabytes of size, and must be coherent with the brief designed for transition. It's very important, guys, and Petya, I'm sure that you will help them with this. On our website, we have also uploaded a few examples, concepts of projects that were developed actually by former IED students for other projects. So they don't have anything to do with the scholarship brief that was developed afterwards, but they are coherent with the brief. So we found the connection between such projects and the scholarship brief, and they are a very good and concrete example of a fashion design or an interior design or a graphic design project that you can develop for the theme of design for transition.
Thank you so much, Marta. There are no more questions so far. I would like to say some words in Bulgarian, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Thank you so much for that. Ние сме към края на нашата среща и ако има още въпроси, които са останали неотговорени, заповядайте, имаме още няколко минути. В противен случай ще се радвам с всеки един от вас да направим индивидуална среща в следващите няколко дена, в които да минем през портфолиото с програми, което може да изберете в Istituto Europeo di Design, както и за подготовката на вашите документи за кандидатстване, с особено внимание върху мотивационно писмо и портфолио, както и да разгадаем в детайли какво се иска от проекта за конкурса за стипендия и какво е това академична справка. Направили сме и Фейсбук група, в която обсъждаме интересни събития около института. IED България се казва, така че може да я потърсите и да се включите в нея. Виждам, че в момента имаме още няколко въпроса. Ще зададем и тях и благодаря ви за това, че бяхте с нас тази вечер. Marta, while I was speaking, there are a few more questions that came in. Can we participate together in the scholarship competition and to provide financial documents for lowering the tuition fee at the same time?
So actually, you can, the financial documents application can be officially made only after the student has been enrolled in the program. Because let's say that this is a financial aid that can be provided for already, let's say, IED students. But of course, you can definitely start collecting such documents. You can start understanding them and searching for them. Applying for them in your home country, which could be lengthy. So you can definitely start doing that. And then you will also need to have them translated into Italian. And then when the moment comes, when you have officially enrolled, you can officially send them to us. And it's going to take just a few weeks then to receive the financial declaration. So let's say that the longest part will be collecting the document, but then once you send them, it will be quite fast and easy to assess your income bracket.
Thank you so much. There is one question which I believe we both can reply to. The individual meetings are going through Zoom. I'm just gonna bump in Bulgarian, but I'm sure that you would be happy to meet any of the students who have additional questions as well, or still are undecided which program is the best option for them. So I'm just gonna reply to this one in Bulgarian. Да, индивидуалните срещи могат да се провеждат в Zoom, както и присъствено в офиса на Skylines в София, но ако съответно сте от друг град, това по никакъв начин не би ни попречило. Така че ще се радвам да организираме такава индивидуална среща, за което ще помоля да пишете на нашия имейл. There is another question about the financial documents, if we can only translate them in Italian. I believe this is a question for the financial documents.
But the question is about the translation into Italian or English?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, actually, these specific financial documents must be translated just in Italian, not in English, because let's say that they are related with the Italian state and tax centers. So all the official communications must be in Italian.
Great. Well, I believe it's time to say goodbye, so they can start working on the scholarship project. And to be ready within 30th of November to present their creative ideas and application documents. So thank you very much, Marta and Stefano, for being part of this webinar. Thank you really for spending time and giving these helpful tips and information about the portfolio and the project in general. Благодаря и на вас отново за това, че бяхме заедно, че бяхте и толкова активни. Ще се радвам да отговоря на всички ваши въпроси, които може да задавате по имейл.
Thank you very much, Petja, and thank you to all of you. And good luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
Bye, ciao.